gentlemen, welcome to this evening's school board meeting. If you would join me in the pledge. Crystal, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item tonight is approval of our agenda, and I do have one change under new business 3. We are going to combine A and B as one recommendation. We have a motion for approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as changed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Recognitions. You can go first, Bryce.
I'd like to recognize CJ Hardy. He was a state champion in 3A track and field and high jump. He jumped over 6'4". And if you think of that, if Trustee Prell stood up, that'd be about like jumping over him because I think he's about 6'4". And so that's a pretty impressive leap. So congratulations to CJ. And then the second thing I'd just like to say, anytime you come to an end of a school year, and you get through it safe and healthy, you have a lot to be thankful for. And so I'm thankful for all the staff members, all the support staff, who made this year a success. So thank you to them.
Thank you. Tyler.
Okay, I haven't seen you guys in a while, and it was the last month of the school year. So here we go. I would recognize our 8th grade boys. They were the district champs in track and field back at the beginning of the month. If you got to come enjoy the Greek plays at the beginning of the month, I would recognize Mrs. Burling and the 6th grade students for another really good job. Mr. Peterson and Mrs. Anderson also helped her out quite a bit with lights and all that stuff. Still going. The tradition of Colonial Night went really well, so I would recognize the 7th grade social studies students and Mrs. Munger. And if you guys weren't aware, when you buy tickets and you eat the food and everything at Colonial Night, that's the first deposit for that class for their fund. And so the class of 2031 has just under $500 ready to go for prom. So we're sitting good. I talk about Y-Top season a lot, but I would give Mrs. Bloom a shout out for organizing all that chaos. We got through that successfully. Hip, hip, hooray. Since I last saw you guys, we had successful band and choir concerts. So shout out to the students and Mr. Whipple. We had an 8th grade triathlon, so I would recognize Mr. and Mrs. Beeler for organizing that, and I would give a special shout out to our winners. The boys winner was Colton Hathaway, and the girls winner was Allie Lunstra. And of course, recognize all the students for getting that done because it was a tough day and they all competed and did really well. Still going. Art show, if you don't remember, that happened. So of course the students, Mrs. Colgrove, Mrs. Marshall, Mrs. Manders, everybody that helped to get that done. And then last but not least, I think, was the 8th grade Outlaw Ranch. So again, Mrs. Beeler for organizing that. That was a fun day. Everybody was safe. We brought everybody back. And that was the month of May at the middle school. That's it. Thank you.
Madam Chair, thank you. I have 3 quick ones. I would like to thank and recognize the Mungers for their graduation skit and speech. Again, congratulating the class of 24 and then all of the board members that were able to attend on Sunday. Thank you all. Timing's everything.
Any other recognitions? I would just like to chime in. I thought I was going to spend an hour at the art show and it turned into about an hour and 45 minutes because it was just extraordinarily good. And I enjoyed it a great deal and ended up with a piece of artwork for my home. So I was pretty happy to win that bid. Also recognize the talent show. The line was out the door waiting to get into that. So good for that. And I just want to thank everybody who worked on graduation. It was really fun And congratulations to everyone for making it through 23-24. Thank you. We'll move on to visitors' comments. All right, we'll move on to action items, the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Does anyone have any questions or concerns, discussion on those items? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Old business. Middle school, high school coaches handbook on second reading.
Yes, and I would recommend the approval of that handbook on second reading with the third and final reading coming up in June.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the middle school, high school coaches handbook on second reading. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. New business, early graduation requests.
Yes, and Madam Chair, I'm going to take A and B together. Although if there are board questions, one of the students is present. I always get confused on whether I can use a student's name or not. So I would recommend for the two students that are named in your packet, the approval for early graduation.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the early graduation request from two students listed in our packet. And I will add that they still will meet the required credits to graduate. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Classified resignation.
Madam Chair, I would recommend to you the resignation of Melody Davis as a custodian and permission to post.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the classified resignation from Melody Davis as a custodian and to post the position. Is there any discussion? Joe?
Madam Chair, I just got a couple questions. How are we doing on custodial staff for summer time cleaning?
We are currently going to be short two. However, interviews are set and hopefully we will be fully staffed soon.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Policies BEE, Board Hearing Appeal Procedures, KB Parental Rights, KBR Parental Rights Complaint Procedures.
So, Madam Chair, and you can see that these are, there really isn't a lot of options here. However, if the board would like to take this on a first reading, I would recommend to the board the approval of those policies in your packet. And if you wanted to make this the first reading, and then I could have CELO add it for a second reading, but you'll see that they do go into law July 1.
We have a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve policies BEE, KB, KB-R, explaining the hearing and appeal procedures for the district and parental rights policies as mandated by Senate File 9 and World Act 8, in which the Wyoming legislature adopted this year to go into effect July 1st, 2024. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Bid proposal recommendation for New Line.
Yes, I would recommend to the board the bid proposal from Pine Cove for the new line refresh boards in the amount of $76,915.35. And this will be covered with ESSER funds.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the bid proposal from Pine Cove for new line refresh boards in the amount of $76,915.35 using ESSER funds. Does anybody have any questions? I would just ask one thing. Would you can we let everybody know what that new line refresh boards means?
Yeah, if you could see, I think I included it, what's all included with that. So that'll be essentially 25, they're called balance boxes. So they're gonna be up and down, mounts for walls. Some of those will go to the high school, some will go to the elementary. Just kind of make it more accessible to get up high to see and then down lower for some of our, lower students at the, elementary. We also did some mobile stands. I brought the question to the elementary school if they wanted to be a little more mobile with their boards. Because when you go into a lot of their rooms, you can see they're kind of stuffed in the corner. I had 2 grades take it, 3rd and 4th would like to be mobile. So there'll be some mobile boards included in those. And they will have internal onboard computers. And they just slide in. And that just makes it so they don't have to have a cord attached to it. They can move it wherever and still get to their files and do what they need to do. So that's really probably about it. This should get rid of all the old and focus boards and put everybody with the new lines now. So I mean, I think warranty almost 10 years. So we'll have them for quite a while. We won't have to mess with them for quite a long time. So
Excellent. Thank you for making that clear so we all know what we're talking
absolutely.
about. All right. It's been moved and seconded. That's all of our discussion, so we'll vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Classified request.
Okay, sorry for the confusion, but I'm going backwards here. So I would recommend to the board the approval of the request for Ken Cook to stay as the night custodian. And then that goes back to trustee Peral's earlier conversation, which is still one of those voids that we're trying to fill.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the request for Ken Cook to stay as a night custodian. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Classified recommendation.
I would recommend to the board Rebecca Owens as an elementary general education para.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the classified recommendation for Rebecca Owens as an elementary general ed para. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Classified recommendation.
I would recommend to the board Kristen Geisinger as a special education paraprofessional.
You have It's been moved and seconded to approve the classified recommendation for Kristen Gessinger as a special ed para. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Certified recommendation.
I would recommend to the board Erica Peringer as the high school English teacher.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified recommendation for Erica Peringer as a high school English teacher. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Director recommendation.
I would recommend to the board Adam Ertman as a maintenance director.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the recommendation for Adam Erdman to be the maintenance director. Is there any discussion?
Speech.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. That's your last time sitting in the back row, Adam. Thank you. Certified recommendation.
I would recommend to the board Ashley Diaz as the school nurse.
Motion. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the certified recommendation for Ashley Diaz to be the school nurse. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Brad, she has her own license, right? Or are we still running off of?
She will hopefully be taking her boards here in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
But yes, she will have to have the nurse's license to have that position.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Wyoming High School Activities Association enrollment dues and catastrophic insurance.
So I have actually two recommendations, Madam Chair, within this. I have a $3,900 catastrophic insurance enrollment dues, and then the catastrophic insurance for $2,464 for a total of $6,364 and no cents.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the High School Activities Association enrollment dues and catastrophic insurance in the total amount of $6,364. Is there any discussion? Dana,
Just out of curiosity, why? is
microphone. Thank you.
soccer- Just out of curiosity, why is soccer so high?
Don't know if I can answer that.
It always has been.
Football's 60
Yeah.
and soccer's 635. I was just, I guess-
Maybe because you don't have as much gear. I don't know.
And let me think about this. Do we have a representative on their board? Because we used to have Tracy. Who's our area rep? I'll look it up online. I don't remember. I looked when Tracy left, but
I'm not 100% sure. I think the Northeast rep was just up, so I could be
oh,
wrong.
could be someone new.
But I thought it was Bo Garcia for our area.
Okay. That's was my main question, because soccer has always been a lot more, but I guess I don't remember. It seems like someone talked about the rationale once, but I don't remember what it was. So I'll see if I can find that out for us. In the meantime, it's been moved and seconded to improve the High School Activity Association enrollment dues. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Classified recommendation.
Okay, so this is sort of a welcome back. So I would recommend to the board Eva Francis, who has been working with us before, for the middle school, high school kitchen assistant.
Move to approve?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the classified recommendation for Eva Francis as middle school, high school kitchen assistant. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Permission to post occupational therapist position.
Yeah, and so this is sort of a second go at this. There is a little bit of a change. We were hoping to work with another entity in the community who right now needs to check on their budgeting. But I would ask the board permission to advertise for the occupational therapy position.
Move to approve?
It's been moved and seconded to approve advertising for an occupational therapist position. Is there any discussion? Sean?
Do we know what we're gonna end up paying at the end of the year? I mean, for a year for an occupational therapist?
It will depend, so it is on a chart, and it'll depend on the applicant's education and number of years, in that service. And I think it starts, Angie, can you remember what that starts off at? 60,
68,000 was that?
64 or 68, I think. is
68
where
was the
it
number I
starts.
thought I seen or something.
Mhm.
Jason,
Is the advertisement based off of whether or not they budgetary wise can come through?
We need one as a district to be in compliance regardless.
Right.
So for us to be in compliance, both with servicing kids and the IEP process, we'll take care of the district needs first and then adjust accordingly. And then if there is still some interest with other entities, we may do that. Or we may just simply fill it with other needs in the district.
and there was some question about who had the authority to end a contract with, it was our understanding we had a contract with the hospital.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
And there was some question about who had the authority to end a contract with, it was our understanding we had a contract with the hospital. And we were informed of the contract ending by a department at the hospital, not the hospital board. So is that been clarified?
It has not. Usually when a service provider says that they no longer want to provide that service, we go seek services for our students.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. 2024-25 high school student handbook.
In your packet, you have the high school handbook. And with that, I would recommend approval for that student handbook for the 24-25 school year.
Move to approve.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 24-25 high school student handbook. Is there any discussion? I have a question on one of the changes on page 4 of the handbook, that the count on tardies resetting at the quarter. Because we have it listed what happens at 10, at 20, 25, 30 absences, but if a student's missing that many and we reset them at quarter, I feel like we're missing out on holding them accountable for excessive tardies. But would you explain that to me, please, Bryce?
And so this policy was initially, I would say, borrowed from the middle school or stolen from the middle school. And Tyler and I just, in working together and discussing, I realized that I had it set at semester where the middle school policy does reset at quarter. And so I made that change to be consistent with that policy. I think it's a good thing to reset at quarter because it's weird. Sometimes you'll have a kid, they'll get their 5th tardy in December. And and then they have to have lunch detention and they really haven't. I don't know, they're really not a habitual tardy student. And so I think if it's reset, it keeps those kids out of that loop, and it holds the students accountable who are those more frequent flyers.
Okay. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you. Does anybody else have questions? Jason?
Is there a reason we don't have this set up as a third reading option? Like we do other,
Because it's not it's not a legally defined policy, I don't believe. Yeah, right, John. That's
Madam
what I'm
Chair,
trying to say.
yeah. Jason, it's not a new policy. Generally, new policies or new programs are on 3 reading basis. Where this is just a revision of an old policy or the handbook as this case. Usually it's just
Yeah.
one reading. Thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions? I'm just gonna say, just for information on it, there is a new AI policy and artificial intelligence policy, and once we're hearing that the governor's gonna have a AI policy for state agencies and that the Department of Ed is gonna have a AI policy for school districts, and none of that has happened. So this very likely could change in the future, but at least we have it addressed now. So thank you for putting that together and getting that in there. Okay, anything else on high school handbook? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Middle school handbook for 24-25.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would recommend to the board the approval of the middle school handbook for the 24-25 school year.
motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 24-25 middle school student handbook. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Reports. Bo, do you have anything else you'd like to share with us?
Thanks, Madam Chair. Kind of just, on what we got going ahead here. So, we did have about 750 laptops show up. We're, working our way through those, hoping to have teachers done by next week. So they can come in and trade their old one in and get the new one. And then we'll get those ready to, move on. Still waiting for about 70 micro desktops to show up. And then we'll also have another 8 on board after tonight for those boards I talked about. So we'll get those all ready and where they need to be. Spoke with Coney just today about the elevator project. Their numbers are finally at at legal. So as soon as legal approves them, we can get those numbers and move on with the elevator. I have the readers and installers that we were just really waiting on the elevator people to get us the numbers. So, and then I finally got our AI audit, or not our AI audit, our tech audit that they did 4 years ago. So I'm in the process. I have everything answered. Most of our stuff is fixed, but the next meeting you will see some policies probably coming this way that they recommended. I've sent them to Brad. I've sent them to leadership. We'll probably have Scott go through them and make sure he's okay with them. Some of the policies will include our AI policy. We'll have that ready to go. Escalation of rights policy will be one. And then data retention will be another one. So there'll be essentially 3 policies that are coming due. And that's just to kind of just give some compliance with what some of their findings were. And then I think their other big one was monitoring reporting, which will be addressed from the CloudStrike that we're getting from the state, which essentially is passive and active scanning. of all servers and endpoint devices. And the state's paying for it, and that'll do all our reporting and monitoring for us. So at the end of the year, I'll be able to give some reports to Brad, just showing that, potential threats and things that could have happened that didn't, and so forth. So.
And that did also include protection of data by third parties, correct?
Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. And you will also see that service lease agreement. That's another thing Scott, I'm gonna have Scott go through. And that I actually knew that I wanted in anyways. We've never done some service lease with some of our data people before, but I think it's really important to get those in. So yeah, I'm gonna have, we'll have the lawyers go through those, and if he's happy with it, and truly, guys, all it really says is you agreed for industry's best practices to protect our data, breaches and whatnot, then fall upon you and not the district. So it just kind of protects the district from data breaches from third party. So that's essentially what that service lease agreement's gonna do.
Awesome.
Yep.
Anybody
Other than
have
that, that's about it. I don't think we have any other projects. I got a big, beautiful one I'm working on, but that's more for the rec board.
any- Does anybody have
Asking for
questions?
charitable donations.
Jason?
Sure, for that AI policy, are we gonna wait for the state and Department of Ed before we take any action on
I-
the policy or?
We kind of have to, we're gonna have to have our own and then make any changes that we might miss, I think.
Yeah, and Jason, I've seen the draft. I've seen two versions of the draft already. Ours is very similar. I think my bigger concern going forward is there are a few in the high school that really want to start utilizing it a little bit. So for us to have it ready for August is something we need to get it into. And like I said, when you see that, if you have any questions or we want to change something, just let me know. But we all kind of work together, and I think it gives us a lot of flexibility on both ends.
Right, thank you, Bo. Tyler?
Here to hang out.
Okay. Adam? Got anything to report from your last 10 minutes of being director? Okay, thank you. Any questions for Adam? Angie?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The other part of the audit that Bo brought up was, is from the 2020-2021 school year. And some of the findings for the FTEs for staff and ADM for students. We are looking at a $27,000 and some change fine from that year. And then we will, after answered this letter, what we've done to correct since then. So I'm working with Maren on that, and it's kind of hard when you weren't here back then and you're trying to see what was going on. So, but we will get it done and taken care of. So,
And we'll all, when that's all done, then we'll share that with everybody.
okay. And that's all I had, unless you had questions.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Mr. Hoffman?
I would just add on a little bit, Angie, too, on that. We met together as a leadership team today to go over some of those situations that have in the past put us in those scenarios where we have to pay back money. So we're trying to proactively prevent that in future years. So just something that Maren put together that I thought was a good idea to get everybody on the same page while we're working. I got the Perkins grant submitted. I'm not 100% sure if everyone knows what the Perkins grant is, but it's basically a chunk of money that we get to use that we're able to apply for each year to help support our CTE programs. So I have that submitted to WDE. So they're reviewing it for corrections. I might get some corrections back. Some of the Perkins grant goes into personnel. So that helps us supplement that 0.6 FTE that we're supplied for the 4 teachers that we have. So it's a benefit to us to receive the Perkins grant each year. And then it's something that teachers can use to modernize their programs, and just a extra bump. So thankful for that. So we'll see what WD says and what corrections I have to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for Bryce? No, Sonia?
Thanks, Madam Chair. I did send an email to you later this afternoon for an invite. So just to know that, since we are, a good portion of the science department at the school district, so high school and then one of the middle school teachers will be doing, the RIDE project next year. And so we're pretty excited about that, just to see where it takes us and what we learn, actually. I mean, it's just a learning experience on what is student-centered learning, the practices that go into it, the structures, the systems, what questions do we have, all those things. So it's just kind of a learning opportunity. And so they're gonna kind of, Two Revolutions is the company that's facilitating this professional development opportunity, essentially. And Zach Beam will be a speaker or a guest to answer questions and give input and insight during this event next week. So just the invite to that, you do have to register for it. So if you're interested, even, to get the link to actually attend it, that's why I sent that to you. We are, I think, gaining some information and feeling pretty positive about a possible virtual ed partnership to offer some opportunities for students. So this will be through the Cowboy State Virtual Academy. And what it essentially will allow is students and families could choose that as an option for a few classes, part-time, full-time, but still be a student in a Weston County #1, school district #1 student, still a Weston #1 graduate. Bryce and I met with a representative there maybe a week ago or so, and really sounded like the philosophy was something that we kind of really adhere to. And just the idea of having another layer of support for students and families at a local level, and to really try to keep them, open opportunities to keep them involved, whether it be in clubs, activities, electives, whatever fits, the needs of the families the most. So we'll be kind of learning more and embarking on that. And I would say kind of lastly, the big thing in it, out of the ordinary, working on just with some recent retirements and stuff, that we are looking into how to be certified for maybe offering alternative basic courses at the high school. So based on student need as they move through the high school. In the past, we've been able to offer like life skills, basic math, foundational reading, just that sort of thing, if there's individual students who really need those type of classes. And right now, we don't have anyone that is licensed or certified in that area. So just trying to get answers from PTSB, which is a bit challenging. Because you leave a message, they will get back to you in 24 to 48 hours, but you only can call between 1 and 4, and they may or may not get back to you right then. So I know, right? So it's kind of fun. So I'm waiting for an answer on that, because I do think we have maybe at least one, if not more, interested staff to look into that. Just knowing what student needs we have coming up. So, and other than that, just beginning of the year school, I think the beginning of the year schedule and next year's schedule is almost finalized. So there'll be lots of changes, but it's almost finalized. So with that, that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Jason?
With that virtual stuff, is there any foreseeable conflicts with student handbooks, athletic handbooks, any of that kind of stuff? Is that anything we look at?
We did.
I think initially, yeah, I think those are considerations. I just think the process of how we offer it, how we advertise that, like that's all stuff that we'll have to figure out down the road, just to how to clearly communicate that to students and parents and of that sort. Because essentially, I would say it's, if students have, like our current students, if we're really having issues with scheduling something, there's 2 classes that happen at the exact same time, so they're forced to choose between one of them. Like this could allow more flexible opportunity to still take both of those classes. One might just be in a different manner. It might be something that we can't offer at all, period, that we would be able to offer through this virtual academy. And so it would kind of be like a double layer of like, there's teachers there that they will have, with an additional layer of support from us. And I do know that any student that would qualify for special education services or 504 services, service time, that is something that we would be responsible for. And we would also have the advantage since they would be on our roster, on our rolls, on our ADM, one of our graduates, we would be responsible for making sure they take all of our testing qualification, requirements too.
So do we, are they affiliated with an umbrella organization or?
I think, from my understanding, they kind of so they're their own entity.
Okay,
There's not like one company that they're working with in entirely. I think what the Cowboy State Virtual Academy does is they look for resources from multiple places. And so kind of utilize multiple resources and constantly try to make it better. And I think they're developing their own, from what it sounded like, along the way. Because I don't know how old they are, but I don't think they've been doing it for a long time.
I don't think so either.
So,
I guess my concern obviously would be
Right.
standards and
Yep.
all those things, which I know you know, so.
Yep.
Brad,
So truly, I think that's the gap. So when you have a teacher shortage and the district's not able to offer a fourth year of English, this could be that opportunity. Instead of riffing a staff member to a part-time status, maybe they could teach in person half-time, online half-time, because they have to have the Wyoming certification. And Jason, going back to your question, it's an eligibility question, so eligibility has always been a pretty good fight. And what you would handle this is very similar to a student that would be in the classroom day to day, similar to those that are homeschooled. You have to have proof that they are making progress. If they are not making progress, what are you doing to try to remediate that? And on the other pace is earlier tonight, what do you do for those that accelerate it? In my world, if the WD takes a point away for a late graduation, maybe they should give you 2 points for an early graduation. And then maybe this thing would have a little bit more purpose than just accountability. But I think you just have to watch those things. It's a service provider. So you are going to have somebody keeping track of, where those students are. I don't think it's really a power school issue. Maybe it could be. That's what's nice about in-house is it's almost a day-to-day or every other day where you don't lose track. That's what's nice about in-house is it's almost a day-to-day or every other day where you don't lose track. Because it's always really tough when you find out, regional wrestling starts Friday and Thursday morning, you find out you're not eligible. That's where their fights come.
And we'd also be covered for SPED and IEPs and that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of stuff.
Although I still think, and I'm not a tech guy, as you all know, I would think that would be a very difficult way to learn. And especially if you had any kind of cognitive needs, unless the person online is really got some great tech skills, I would think that's got to be a real tough go. But then if you had, anxiety where you didn't want to be around the other kids, maybe it really does work. I just know that as the world changes, safety concerns, staffing shortages, you know what all those are. online is really starting to be one of the fastest growing educational industries.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Sonia? Anybody have questions? No? Okay, Brad.
For your calendar, just a reminder, State Board, and I will get the agenda to you if you would like to attend June 20th, 21st. That event will be, I can't remember if it's in this room or if it's in the front room.
It's in Newcastle.
It's in Newcastle, and depending on what windows are open, we'll move to that spot. I would just real quickly, Mrs. Holmes did send out a email tonight on the elementary estimated numbers. So please look at that. Now that we do have a new maintenance director, two big contracts that we'll have to look at and renew. One of them is the current contract with our HVAC provider, and moving forward or not moving forward. And then the other one is to relook at a better way of looking at our roofs and our outside structures. As you can see, I actually chose the paint scheme for this building, and I hope you all like it. That navy ship gray looks good. But if you really want to know what happened, on the way out by the heater, there are three little pads there that were going to be the colors. And when I looked at them, even I thought they were atrocious. I shared them with my wife. She confirmed that they were atrocious. So now we're waiting for the new colors in which Angie picked out. So Angie gets the blame here. Not going to take any skin off of this one. But hopefully, this project gets off the ground or back on the ground. And then, I think you all know that we're right at a week late on our football field start, and it doesn't look like Mother Nature is going to be a lot of help here in the next couple weeks. So now that the new director's on board, those will be all things in which he can navigate through. That's what I have for me, unless you have, what do you have for questions?
So what is the base salary for beginning interior designer?
There is none.
Exterior designer. No.
Interior designing here is done by piles. And I don't know if you know that or not. But if you move a pile, you gotta let CeeLo know, because then if she can't find it, there's no way I can find it. So don't touch it if it's in a pile. That is well organized chaos right there.
All right, thank you. Board reports. Dana.
EWC did theirs. We approved the proposed budget. The final one will be in July. And we had a question on the half mil. It is just Weston County.
It is, okay.
Yep.
Thank you for that. I wasn't sure. Anybody have any questions? Jason, do you guys meet?
We did just general.
General, nothing to report.
Okay. I will be at a WEPT meeting in Cheyenne next week. And I'll be driving home during the meeting, of course, so I won't be attending that, but thank you for inviting us. And just a point of information, to the best of my knowledge, there is no signed contract yet for an independent investigator, and we will have an executive session next meeting to discuss that. So that'll go on future agenda items. Any other board or director reports? All right, future agenda items. Weston County's Unstoppable Generation will be here on June 12th to share with the board what they're doing in the community. Anyone else have a future agenda item? Okay, discussion items. Anyone have anything they'd like to discuss? All right. Oh, so close. There's always that one guy.
how to miss.
That's okay. Sean,
Madam Chair, do we know, Brad, where we're at with, our SRO?
I do not. I have not had any communications about where we were or where we're headed. I'm hoping to do that sometime soon.
thank you for remembering that. Okay, I'll quit picking on Sean. Seeing no other discussion items, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this meeting. We are adjourned.
I have to recognize Joe because he changed my son's tire tonight.
Thank you. Is there any other recognitions? Seeing none, we'll move on to visitors' comments. I see no visitors, so we'll move on. We'll move on to action items, consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move to approve?
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on consent agenda? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Consent agenda has been passed. I see no old business. I see no new business. Is there any for your information?
So I've been tracking the 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. Yeah. So through last week is what I had it at. And so at first it was just the two guys, but now that I've gotten it out there on Facebook and everything, and we posted the hours on the door, there's been 4 to 8 consistently. Some of them from the refinery and such. So, and they've been very reliable. I haven't had anybody, I mean, they've been coming every week, so, or every day. So far it's been good.
I do got one more question. There's a weightlifting competition. Is there stuff going out like online for that?
I didn't know about it. I could probably maybe talk with,
Push pull.
I'm wondering so Casey and Don Bodkin are 2 of my employees, so maybe they know about it.
Okay.
You, there you go. Do you know it? There you
I
go.
don't know a ton about it. It's just I saw the posters in the weight room is what it is. I think it's a weightlifting competition and it says it's a fundraiser for girls wrestling.
Okay.
And it had a little QR scan code and whatnot. So that's the only place I've seen it is in the weight room.
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything about it. And usually when people get posters, they ask me, but where's it posted? Do you know?
All over.
They must have just did it because I was just there.
It's been up for about a week.
Yeah, okay. So I was there last week because I usually check the mail thing every week. So I will look and find out.
I'm wondering if it was that Saturday. There were people in there Saturday doing stuff, and I'm wondering if that's what they were doing.
Saturday. We're not open on Saturday.
I'll look at cameras for you.
Thank you. Because that could be an issue.
All right. Is there any other for your information that anybody has? See none, we'll move on to discussion items. I don't have anything to discuss unless.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for some equipment coming. We've got 2 new treadmills and a thigh machine coming. Our dilemma could be the weight room, perhaps, or access.
Construction is gonna be in the.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll get delivered before everything's blocked off. So they told me it was gonna be delivered before the end of June, so.
Joe, what about the pool lighting? Have we started on that one?
No, that's not gonna start till the pool's down, which
Okay.
is July 22nd. Yeah.
So, talked to the contractor today. There's twofold. Everything has been ordered. They're going to wait till the pool is down. There'll be, I think it's yeah, and then they'll do custodial recondition floors. They'll do the lighting and then also the outdoor educational space. Those plugins will be wired in at that time. And then the Doggy Dome gym floor will be reconditioned, I think all about that same time. If everything works out that well, but everything's a go. It's just making sure that we're not working and kids are in the pool is one of their biggest issues. The other thing that we need to have on our radar, and we don't have monies to do this, and it's not a major maintenance issue, it's the 10% money in the blue stucco, for a lack of a better word, of the pool liner is starting to show its wear. There's very few companies that can do that kind of work. And usually when we do that kind of work, when we do have the money, it is down for a considerable part of that of time because it takes time to dry, it takes time to cure, and then you're talking both the little pool and the big pool. But since we don't have any 10% money, if people complain about that it doesn't look very desirable, they're right. But it's really tough to paint underwater.
Brad, is that something they can patch up or is it, they got to do the whole?
They said that years ago when we had our old pool, we tried to get by with some patchwork and it looked like patchwork. So what they've done in the past, when the contractor got here, is they drained the pool. And I want to say it was down almost a month, I think, the last time they did it, because it is quite a process. And then, with you've got so much other moisture related issues besides just water, you got the humidity. And so it takes a lot of time to get that conditions right. And then once you get it right, then you have to another probably week, trying to get it, water levels back and then treated so that you have it for use. But until we can acquire some 10% money, it's just, it's on the table, but there's no plans on getting it. It will not be done this calendar year. Unless Angie has more 10% money than what she's telling me.
I got you. Okay. Bo?
Okay, so like I said, since I didn't have any tech projects I was working on, I wanted to work on something else. So what we were looking at was replacing the lights at the football field. They've gone past, they're right at the end of their life of their 25-year warranty. So as they break and everything else, those become ours. And, looking at the LEDs, they're about 60% more efficient. So it saves us quite a bit, in electricity. So do you want to see my video? Is that the easiest way to do it? I'll show you the video.
Oh, trust me.
This project has a little bit of a cost to it as well.
It does, but I'm about 100,000 right now donated, as long as everyone comes through.
What's the shortfall, 300,000?
You're not halfway.
No, 15 is what it is.
15 or 15? 15.
Just to replace what we. Replace what we have or, oh, wait, there's more.
Oh, there's more. You're gonna think you're in Vegas.
I tell you, I have a son that comes on KGW.
Please click on the right one.
We don't need to have a House School Board
Yeah.
meeting.
Good thing is, there's not a lot of attendance. Even if we get hacked, we're not gonna be embarrassed.
Christmas present for the next 10 years.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Oh, buddy.
We make it happen. Kind of cool. Can you see the doggies ready to run out there, guys? Come on.
Not in the dark.
Yeah. That's neat.
Is this the quote you got, the 200 and some
Yeah, it's 215. And
that set up?
yeah, so the LED light, the conversion, it comes with that package. So that's nothing extra on top of what the conversion is. And then, like I said, I've done some flyers and stuff. I spoke to Black Hills Energy. I think they are planning on being big contributors to it. I've been doing flyers with some different advertising tiers and whatnot. So like I said, right now I'm probably about, I would say 100. I talked to Josh at 21. They're actually an installer for Mezco. So he did say if it was something that we got close on, that he'd be willing to install it if we needed it. So I still have a little ways to go. Essentially what it is, they're just, Mezco is who owns the poles, and they're the ones that do the brains and everything else. So essentially they take down our big halogens, put up the LEDs, and that's the conversion. They said it'd be 4 days. So originally they said if I could get it by the end of June and sign contracts, it'd be ready. I bet I could go later than that, especially if Josh is gonna do it. But I wanted to give you guys a heads up and let you know what I was kind of looking at. And then, as part of that package, we were gonna do some like halftime light shows and stuff like that, since there's really nothing that ever goes on besides throw the ball into the horse tank. But I think it's sweet. I just need some big hearts and some big pockets. So I don't know if that, and the city rec board did say they would be willing to put on that too, so. I don't know if we can do anything through the school, especially at the end of the year, but it's kind of where I am, so.
Seems like a safety feature to have that really clear lighting around all the edges.
You know, that is a great, I will put that on the flyer.
You know,
Yes.
tell us what you're playing stuff with you.
Got me thinking about it too, is with, in a wheeling game, I had that, remember, Randy?
Come on.
30 minutes for them to turn back on. It was almost an hour waiting for the halogens to cool down and then light back up. Your LEDs, you can see they're instant. So that's what kind of started me on the project. This was just a very cool added bonus to it.
Well, and. Like 5 to 10% of what.
So what they quoted me was 60% more efficient is from our halogens. Yep. So and then when we re-up that re-ups the 25-year warranty on them too. So you re-up your warranty on that, and truly LEDs will probably outlive most of us, really.
Good payback, I think, is 12 to 15 years with their energy cost savings, I think is what their promotion says.
That's pretty cool though.
Depends on your amount of usage.
Again, just let me know who has those big hearts and big pockets. But like I said, we've gotten quite a few, and I still haven't spoke to some of the big businesses yet. So I think I'll be getting close, I think. And I can send you the flyer too, if you're interested, just to see my tiers and whatnot. So yeah, absolutely. I'll email the video too, so you can watch it at home.
That would be kind of cool. Donations welcome.
All right, is there any other discussion items? All right, meeting adjourned.
And it would have been interesting to see how many votes may have changed because of Gordon's actions, because of the response of their communities after those bills were passed, specifically the gun-free zone bill. I think that we would have very much seen a change in votes on that one. I think you would have seen more nay votes on that than you had before.
So you're saying that that some folks were counting on the governor veto in that one?
I very much 100% think that especially school districts, courthouses, places like that were banking that the governor was going to go, no way are we letting guns in these areas. And I think that their response afterwards may or may not have swayed some of those representatives and senators to vote a different way because the response was strong.